All right, everyone, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Coming to you live from the new Online Big Blue studios. Like we've said before, March, beginning of first or second week of March, we are going to be doing a 1 to 2 hour live radio show 2 days a week. So we'll have some more information about that. We have gone out and purchased some sound equipment, some soundboards, some new microphones, and all that fun stuff. Because, like I said, we are trying to create more of an experience for our subscribers and our viewers and all the people that listen to us on the podcast and all that fun stuff. But let's get into the Giants and the NFL draft. Gregory Rousseau. I did a video back on him a while ago saying, you know what, the Giants could potentially be selecting him in the 2021 draft. And I feel that the scouting report that I may have given him was not fair, because I was going on the limited amount of film that we had seen on him, and I was also, of course, kind of going off of just what we see on YouTube and what you read. And so I decided to reach out to a gentleman who was a former NFL assistant in Miami. He is still in the Miami area. He's been retired for years, but he is a huge Miami Hurricane fan. And I asked him, I said, you know what? Gregory, Mr. 305, I like to call him. To me, Pitbull, of course, is the original Mr. 305. But Mr. 305, I say, you know what? I look at the film. It's limited because he's only played really in one season. I worry about his experience. I worry about his athleticism. And he was funny, though, because this gentleman looked, he didn't look at me. He started laughing on the phone and said, you know what? There are so many misconceptions about Gregory that it's not even funny. And he's like, let's go over a couple, because he thinks if the Giants select him, that he is going to be a fantastic pro in the mold and the mindset of Michael Strahan and Jason Pierre-Paul. And I said, you know what? That is a huge, those are big shoes to fill. That's a huge order. That's a tall order. And he said, and I said, you know what? And I said, the biggest thing I hear about him is that he does not have the athleticism. And he laughed again. He said, you know what's funny that people say that? The guy is 6'7", 265 pounds. He's raw strength, talent, and speed, and he's got an insanely large wingspan. How do you think how can you say a guy is not athletic at that size when he can do the things that he can do? Now, yes, he's doing those against college players. So his length and his quickness, really became a major issue from offensive linemen when he was playing his, that sophomore season. And he even said a guy that big and that strong and has that much versatility, to have people sit there and say he does not have the athleticism alone to play the defensive end position, he said is crazy. He's got speed. He can stand at 6'7", 265 pounds. He can play from the standing position. He has that flexibility. Miami, kicked him inside a lot against the guards and the centers, and they did not fare very well against him because of the fact that he was so quick off the ball. Now, yes, of course, that speed and versatility may not translate well immediately in the pros, because you're talking about guys that are still, the guys that are basically just as fast and just as strong. But he even said, if you watch him, his closing speed is impressive. His first step off the line, off the point of attack, is incredible. And like I said, his length alone prevents teams from running in his direction. That's why he said he reminds him of Jason Pierre-Paul. And he even said, he reminds me of Jason Pierre-Paul, even going back to Michael Strahan. And I say, wow, that's a tall order. And he goes, but he has all the talent and all the natural ability. He can be lined out. He can line up at the 3, the 6, or the 7 technique and still be impactful, he said. And he can chase down the quarterback. And he's got fantastic closing speed for a guy his size. And he said the other interesting thing is he's so big and he's so strong, like I said before, he is going to hold his edge against the run. Now, if you just take a look at his statistics, career-wise, 59 tackles, 19.5 tackles for a loss, 15.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 14 career games. And he says, go back and watch either the Florida State game, the Pittsburgh game, the Louisville game from 2019. And you'll see a guy who will be a destructive force if coached properly. Now, he said his weakness, plain and simple, is the fact that he did this in college against guys that are probably not going to be in the pros. And he relied a lot on his incredible athleticism and all the other unique traits in reference to his size and his wingspan. So technically, he is not proficient in the technical skills of being a pass rusher. But he says these are all things with a little bit of patience can be coached. And he can learn. This is a guy in high school that played safety and wide receiver. And he was introduced to the defensive end position just 3 years ago. Now, like I said, he is an incredibly raw player, but he can be molded into a difference maker. But you have to understand that what you're getting. He is not going to understand immediately, and he is not going to win the battle of leverage against refined offensive linemen. He is going to try to use his functional strength to move players. And the only problem is a lot of these guys are so technically sound. Him using physical strength and trying to muscle them is probably not going to work. Now, he even said, and I asked him, I said, is Gregory a classical boomer bust guy? And he's like, he reminds him of Miles over in the Browns. He's got that type of ceiling, but he has to develop. And as the maturation process goes on, there needs to be a plan within the organization, whoever drafts him, that he is going to find that coaching. And that's the big thing he talks, Joe Judge and his team talk about. It's the coaching. It's the ability to bring out the best in their talent. So my friend was telling me this kid has got such a high ceiling, but he needs to be developed. Can the Giants develop this type of talent? I think they can. I mean, I really do. I get concerned, like I say, when you hear things such as the fact that it's his inability to maybe move like he did in college because of the fact that the competition in college is not going to be what he's going to run into the pros. That worries me a little bit. The fact that you talk about that he does not have, it's a lack of experience. And it's also a little bit concerning that he missed out on 2020, which cost him tons of reps, sitting out that season because of COVID. But ultimately, my buddy says he can develop into a consistent pass rushing force if given the opportunity. He thinks he's not going to get past Dallas. And I found that interesting that, he was like, I don't think he's going to get past the Cowboys. He feels that he will be taken in the top 10. And it may, like I said, of course the Giants are picking at 11, but he feels with his unique traits and his unique abilities, some team is going to try to snatch him up. Now, Dallas is known for picking guys that are projects or guys that have had trouble or guys that, have had history of injury or have had a devastating injury in college. So they work with these guys. I just hope the Giants potentially, the more and more I talked to him the other day, the more and more I got excited that if they decide to pick up Mr. 305, and that's what I'm going to call Gregory from now on, Mr. 305, because we need a defensive end. If you are going to feel like you are going to keep Leonard Williams and lose Dalvin Tomlinson, Leonard Williams is then really going to have to continue to play more of the defensive tackle position. And at that point in time, you are going to need a strong edge. And unless you are not going to be able to go out and get one, especially at a high price free agent, because of the fact that if you bring back Leonard Williams, that's just not going to happen because you're not going to have the cap space. So bringing this kid in and letting him play the position is going to be the best thing that the Giants can do. And honestly, I am getting more and more excited about Mr. 305. And I'm hoping now we see some more with him, maybe at a pro day, maybe at a virtual combine. But I want to see more of this guy. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you can like, if you can subscribe, if you can ring that bell, you think you know what that means, that'd be awesome.